I think the world is changing so much right now, and definitely this precarious type of life, I would say, will be developing in the future, and people will try to find better spots for them and travel.
Welcome to the latest episode of the Nomad Summit podcast. Today we talk about research into our community, the latest findings and what the research landscape looks like. I'm here together with Aldijana and Viktoriya. Please introduce yourself.
I'm Viktoriya Voloshyna, and I'm assistant professor in Canada, Thompson Rivers University. I work on different aspects, psychological aspects of nomads living.
Hi everyone, my name is Aldijana Bunjak and I'm an associate professor at University of Stavanger in Norway. Currently I'm working on two projects. One of them are collecting, so it's like a big cross-sectional data collection, which is called e-Wanderlust. And the second one is more qualitative data collection, which is also about the digital nomads, but it gives us like more close insights into the questions of the mechanisms and the boundary conditions related to the digital nomad life.
This episode is brought to you by Global Nomad Pass, the membership that rewards you with exclusive discounts when you support local businesses around the world.
Let's start with an easy question. How many digital nomads are there?
Oh, I have read, different, information. Some saying that 1 billion, other people say 35 million all over the world. But definitely we can say that US, Canada and Europe, they lead the world in number of digital nomads that right now we see. I don't know, maybe Aldijana knows better.
Seems like there is no definite answer to that. And just a minute ago, I've been told that there are 30 million. Or something like that, and the guy was also not sure. So it seems like we don't have an answer to that yet.
I think the only one conclusion that everyone has is we need a definition. There is no clear definition what is a digital nomad, and even among scientists this is not clear. So for the people more on the practical side, and being inside this community, we definitely see a widespread variety in lifestyles. So I think most common is to divide into like seasonal nomads, people who do have a home base, have a home country, and just travel for their, let's say, cold European or Northern Hemisphere winter season to Southeast Asia to work away until it gets nice and warm back home again. And on the other side of the same medal are like the perpetual travelers, full-time nomads that have given up everything back in their home country and travel for an indefinite period of time without any intention of taking a residency, taking a tax residency and everything connected to that. But it looks like in the research sphere, there are very different definitions out there as well. So what are the definitions that you work with?
Yeah, it was interesting to see that different people also have different definitions of the digital nomad. It seems like all of them work in some way, but there is, again, no definite definition on the digital nomad. And for my research or for research of the project that we are currently working, we are defining digital nomads as the people who travel at minimum 3 times in a year. So they are changing their location for work. And of course, while they are traveling, they are working. So they are also not having an employer. That's an important point for us. They are self-employed, and I just discovered that I was thinking that these people should not have a home base, but seems like from the legal perspective, this is a very important thing. So I kind of include that, yes, digital nomads can have a home base because this is also related to the taxes and the legal issues. So I would say that would be roughly how I define digital nomads.
So you exclude people that have a 100% remote employment. There are big companies out there that are 100% remote, like Zapier and others. And they have people that work full-time for them, but all around the world or many other companies that do that. So they are not qualified for your definition.
Correct. So I personally, as a professor at the university, I to some extent qualify as a remote worker because now I'm sitting here and working while my employer is back in Norway, University of Stavanger. But this is not really the same, and this is not the same group that we are looking in our research. So these people should be more independent financially and location-wise as well. So I would say the key is, as the word nomad is, like changing location independent of where your company is sending you. If you're, for example, doing sales, so you've been sent to Africa or Asia or whatever, but you as individual decide where is your next location. And yeah, I think there is a slight difference between these two.
Okay, that's quite interesting because it exists in the field of remote employment as well, that people can choose their location freely and work digitally for one country. But I guess the definition that you have decided for also comes from the field of research, the aspects that you're looking into. So what is that in your case? What is your field of research?
So my field of research is management. So as I come from the School of Economics and the Business, I call it business administration, or it's actually business administration, but then the field, my major is management and organization.
Your field is a different one, Viktoriya, right?
No, I work in the School of Business and Economics as well. So I got PhD in organizational behavior and management and professor of management. So my field is management, and for sure we are interested in this phenomena from the management perspective. But at the same time, there is a huge field which studies intersection, psychology, management. How do people behave when they work? And of course, this, nomadism is a very interesting phenomena from the perspective of probably how future work will look like. Because, when we talk to these people, a lot of them insist that to this nomadism, they were pushed by internal, feelings that they cannot continue within organizational boundaries. So they require this freedom not to belong to the organization. So I wouldn't say that my field is different. I just maybe bring more identity and psychological perspective into my study of nomadism. I don't know about Aldijana's.
Yeah, indeed. I mean, from the management perspective that I just mentioned, and Viktoriya, I'm just following up on what she said. So basically, we are looking at the new ways of the working, and digital nomadism might not be a new way of working. Seems to me like many of people been digital nomads for a while, but the label just came recently, and we as researchers are interested, of course, in these new ways of the working. Another perspective is technology, human interaction, that we are in the management field, of course, as organizational behavioral scholars interested to the great extent. So indeed, new ways of working, I would say it's a key word here, and the human-technology interaction, it's another perspective that we are looking and concerned with about.
Okay, so that's the fields that you are working on. I guess as every professional scientist, you start from a thesis, from an assumption that you now want to question and look into. What's the big question that you are currently working on that you want to find the answer for?
I can definitely tell you, for me, I'm really interested how these people negotiate their identities. So what they see, I see the boundaries are not, so if we stem from the definition, the boundaries, they are not very clear. Because, it's a kind of a self-identification issue, which I think is in the process still. So they don't know how to define themselves, because a lot of people we are asked here, are you digital nomads? So they tell us, yes, we are. But when we actually, ask them what they're doing, some of them do not qualify and do not, match the definition that we see in the research so far. So it's a question of their values, first of all. And I would think that it seems to me here a lot of people who value freedom, who value traveling, who value creativity, and they decide, okay, because we value this, we will identify themselves as nomads, yeah? But that's a kind of brings us this subjectivity, into the research when everybody can tell, okay, I'm a nomad. But it doesn't mean that they are. The big question comes out of, okay, how to define these boundaries. And in order to understand this, we have to talk to these people and be able to differentiate between them, what their values are, what their meanings are, what their motivation are, how they really travel, for what reason they travel, what their, relationships within and out of the organization. And then we will be able kind of to come to the conclusion whether they belong to this nomadism as a movement or they don't, and what actually it is. Because right now it is very broad. Here, like a lot of people who are passionate about this liberal, liberal movement, I want a freedom most of all. A lot of them, telling us. So our main value is freedom. But freedom, it's a very broad term. And, politicians use this in one way. Psychologists use ethics perspective, sociologists, so too many philosophy, first of all. So we need to understand, what their inner self, and from that stem, and, to define, okay, this is it, and this belongs to this phenomena, and this doesn't belong. Yeah. So that's why it seems to me their self-identification is not over totally.
It's a very interesting question that is being answered in conversations with digital nomads a lot differently depending on for how long they've been doing this. I mean, freedom is always like freedom from and freedom to, as well as traveling often is like traveling to something or running away from something. And many people who are at the very beginning of this journey, they are rather looking for the running away from and the freedom from something. Like they're coming from situations that they disliked, like 9-to-5 jobs, close-minded environments, and they just want to break out and see a potential solution for that in a location-independent lifestyle. While often over time this changes, their mindset settles, and they discover the beauty of this globe and are more celebrating this lifestyle, like I personally do for more than 8 years, traveling fully location independent and perpetually. I'm celebrating every day that I'm holding a balance between traveling to places where I've been before, where I have my community, like coming back to Estonia every summer for a couple of weeks or months, coming back to Chiang Mai, meeting people again and again. But on the other side, holding a balance with exploring new places, finding new cultures, diving into local habits, food, mentalities that I haven't seen before, from which I draw a lot of inspiration. So I'm pretty sure if you do your research, you will come to findings in this direction as well, right?
Yeah, I have to say, after being these 7 or 10 days at the Bansko Nomad Fest, it really made me think about different questions, which will potentially be future research questions. But the research question that I started with was about the balance between work and travel. And mostly I was looking at this from the social perspective, well-being, and economic perspective. And I came to the conclusion that social or relationship perspectives are really important topic in this field. And I really want to dig deeper into these challenges that digital nomads are experiencing. And we do have some insights so far, but until we have our research analysis done, I cannot speculate on the conclusions yet, but happy to follow about this in the future. And I would say that relationships are now one of the research questions that I would like to answer. So the balance, so how digital nomads are balancing these while in constant change between locations, so travel and work, and how this affects their well-being as well.
Time for a quick break and a shout out to the sponsor of this episode, Global Nomad Pass. If you're a digital nomad, you know the struggle. Trying to avoid tourist traps, finding local hidden gems, and paying full price for co-working spaces and fitness studios. What if you could get authentic local experiences with exclusive discounts, all from one simple pass? Global Nomad Pass offers exactly that. For just $79 a year, you gain a digital membership accessible via Apple or Google Wallet that unlocks up to 50% off at over 500 hand-picked local businesses across 25 plus cities. Think local cafés, restaurants, gyms, hairdressers, bars, accommodations, even local experiences, scouted and vetted by real locals to guarantee authenticity. It's a win-win. You save money, discover hidden gems, and support local businesses wherever you go. If you want to learn more about Global Nomad Pass, then listen to episode 7 of the Nomad Summit podcast, where Christoph talks to its founder, Safir, and a cafe owner in Bansko. Find out more on globalnomadpass.com. And by the way, as a Nomad Summit podcast listener, you can get an exclusive 30-day free trial, no credit card required. And then you'll get an additional 25% off when you upgrade to the annual membership. We've dropped the link for you as a Nomad Summit podcast listener to unlock the free 30-day trial. And now, back to this week's episode.
You already have some findings from there. It's not final conclusions, but I see that you can share some first findings with us. What are they?
Indeed. So the findings are descriptive, and these are really first insights. So no big conclusions on this, but yet we do have some of the findings from 500 digital nomads, and these are the findings from the project, which is E-Wanderlust. And what I can tell about this project is that we are 100 plus researchers working on it, and we are really working hard to get this data. So guys, please, yes, get in and fill in this survey because this
you have a little incentive as well, right?
Yes, we do have a little incentive, which I'm happy to share once you reach me out. And yes, so the data we got so far from these 500 digital nomads is, for example, most common home countries of the digital nomad. It's one of the questions in the questionnaire that you will find there. These happen to be Australia, France, Poland, Bosnia and Herzegovina, Israel, Indonesia, Netherlands. And then, for example...
Hold on a second. What did you define home country? Does that mean where they have their passport from, or where they grew up, or where they currently are, or where they currently have a residency? What is a home country in this context?
Good question. I think in this context, home country is exactly, so where do they have a passport from? So that would be it. And then, for example, we have a question about what is the location that digital nomads prefer to work from. 45% of work, as they report, is from their current home, wherever that is. And then 70% is co-working spaces, 60% cafés, 11% hotels. So what we can conclude from these descriptives is that digital nomads still kind of enjoy the stability and the comfort is important to them. Yes, they also support, of course, remote work from the cafés or the co-working spaces. And then what else? Maybe it's interesting, the work-life balance, that the highest reported work-life balance was from digital nomads in Vietnam and North Macedonia, and the lowest from the data was in Portugal and Slovenia, for example. Meaning in the life. Maybe this is interesting because lately we've been talking a lot about this digital nomadism and where and how they find the meaning. So the ones that we have in our data, the highest meaning in the life was reported from the Turkey and USA, and the lowest in Vietnam and North Macedonia.
What's the context of this question? So you asked for if people think they have found their purpose, they have found their meaning in life individually?
Yes, this is how it could be understood, because this is the survey that they individually report or respond to, and they are giving the option to say the meaning is kind of at a low level or average at the high level. And then we don't provide, of course, definitions in the survey, but everyone will understand the meaning, I guess, in its own unique way. So it is left to interpretation, of course. But yes, I guess your conclusion was correct.
Thank you so much. And I guess we can help you with your further research. As the Nomad Summit community, how can we provide you with what you need? How can we help you to answer your questions, both of you?
Me and Aldijana, we are right now on the project when we are interviewing nomads. We want to talk to them approximately 1 hour, and we are asking like general questions about their life, career, values, how they choose location, how they move, what's the reason of this life, what's behind, and we would be happy to talk to people, and we share, you mentioned about this incentive that we're able to provide. So we're looking for participants for this in our interview to know more about what's going on in Nomad's life, and we would be happy to have people in to listen to their stories.
I think that's pretty easy. You will have links that we can share.
We have our LinkedIn's and we can be easily reached, and LinkedIn, WhatsApp, so any kind, or our emails in any way. We would be happy to talk to people.
Perfect. We'll share that in the show notes. And Aldijana looks like she has something to add here.
Well, I think we said quite a lot about these two studies. The survey is still open, so yes, that will be ongoing project. It started only in the fall 2024, so we do plan to have it open at least for a year from this point of time. And for the one that Viktoriya mentioned with the qualitative part, where we're going to interview some more one-to-one conversation and ask actually digital nomad personal experiences in more depth. It is with the limited spaces, I would say. So we do plan to have 50-60 people, and I think after Bansko we already kind of got people who are very, very much interested, and we still have the project open. But yeah, I would say guys, hurry up, because we don't have a lot of these spaces open. So, and we would love to hear your story. So if you're willing to share, yeah, happy to take it from there.
And I'm super excited to then discuss the findings of your research once it's ready. So definitely we'll have you on this podcast again once we can really look into and maybe finally answer this question: how many digital nomads are there? Because it's a big discussion also between co-living providers. Recently, Rio of Co-Live Fukuoka has shared an interesting insight on his LinkedIn and broke down some numbers where he looked into the research that's out there, figured out that there is a lot of definition overlap, that most probably in this number that's being circulated with these 35 millions, that there are many people counted double and triple. And most probably, especially if you look into these events and their progression in the last couple of years, we are now here at the biggest one in the community, Bansko Nomad Fest, with around 750 tickets sold as far as I know, which is a little bit above last year, which was a little bit above the year before. But the assumptions that we all heard, especially at the beginning of COVID, that we're just now at the beginning of a hockey stick curve where remote work becomes the new normal and so many people find out that this lifestyle works. I don't feel this. I mean, I hope that, and it makes some sense within itself, but I don't see the community growing that much. And that was also a finding of Kaizu here on the panel, another researcher. She literally said, this community is not growing yet. You agree, Viktoriya?
No, I disagree. Definitely. I think the world is changing so much right now, and definitely there are pros and cons of this style of living. And I would say pros that, people feel freedom and travel, and they have to be in a certain, psychological condition as well when they decide, okay, I'll try this. But I definitely think that there will be more potential, because unfortunately, this precarious, job, what we call, precarious job, which is not for life, job which is not guaranteed to you anymore. And, we as researchers, maybe 20 years ago, we talked about how, employees should be loyal to their organizations, yeah? And how organizations look for these lifetime job employees. And then the talk and narrative was changed, by the researchers again, that now we are in this boundaryless condition. People easily jump from one job to another job. And then finally, we have right now, nobody talks about loyalty anymore. And the organizations, they're pretty open. They say competition is very high and every job spot is not taken for life. And even we, like who are professors and always, had some stability, like in our careers, we feel this kind of the world needs less of these PhD tenure track professors. And with AI, it will change even more, because a lot of jobs will be taken by AI, and I think it will be a huge revolution. That's why, to me, it's a kind of, like a world intuition, like people intuitively think maybe they are currently traveling and looking for better, like spots. But definitely this precarious type of life, I would say, will be developing in the future, and people will try to find better spots for them and travel. And maybe that's normal. Who knows?
That's also a very interesting aspect that I often heard when talking to people in this community, as there is a huge income gap. There are many digital nomads that barely make a living, whether some of them by choice. They do geo-arbitrage to maximum extent. They go to countries where they can live like a king or a queen with an income that would in Western countries not suffice to make a living. But they just work as much as necessary to live then in those countries and go surfing for the rest of the time because that's what they want. And then there are many others here that have launched apps that went viral and really make millions, but those people are also not bragging about it. So you need to be around in the community for a while to see and observe people and see when they are not talking about money so much anymore, and then figure out, probably they made it or they didn't make it. So it's quite interesting over time to observe and especially look at the youngsters in this community. It's like, I'm a digital nomad now. And then if you ask more and more, you find out they have just quit their job and had a little bit of savings, and they're just living off savings for a couple of months or maybe years, but they don't have a location independent income. And so they self-define as digital nomads, but probably wouldn't meet your definitions then.
Like I would say, it's interesting what you're saying, that money is like, it's a crucial part of everything, as always. Like being here like for a week, I would say that there is a hope that digital nomads, still, I would say, try to fit in some conventional boundaries, because for me, what I found here, like they value money and love, still, which is, saves some hope that, like these two traditional values, like allow them to search for themselves and to find, which I wish them to find themselves. To me, it's this way of living looks very interesting at one point, but as I said yesterday in my talk, not bliss comes without disease. Like sometimes it can be, challenging. Yeah.
So, final question, quick one: are you a digital nomad yourself?
I would define myself as remote worker rather than digital nomad, but I as someone who lived across in several countries to date, I can tell that yes, I do have some of the characteristics of digital nomad, although I wouldn't say that I'm one of the digital nomad myself.
How about you, Viktoriya?
No, I would say about that I'm a solo professional, but definitely not a digital nomad. But I met Aldijana, who knows what will be in the future. But definitely this idea of traveling, I love it. And it's really interesting, but I prefer to have a home base. I need to have my pillow, sometimes. And to know, okay, this is my place. Not sure I will become a one, but traveling is really attractive as a value. That's true. Agree.
So I hope we will be able to discuss your findings at the next Nomad Summit in Chiang Mai in January 2026.
Yes, I definitely think that there will be a lot of different findings and exciting ones, and actually maybe even provocative. So it will be a lot of questions, like these findings will leave a room for a lot of new questions to be opened. But for sure, as we have now some first insights, we can tell that it will be exciting and provocative, and it will be interesting, at least. Yeah.
Thank you very much for coming to our podcast.
Thank you for inviting us.
Thank you for inviting us. Yes, absolutely.
And then hear you again next week. Bye-bye.
Produced by radioguru.co.uk.